Welcome back, freelancers in the Field Rescue, and we're back doing the gear showcase series. We're in the Interceptor, and there's a few people hanging out in here. We'll just wave to them and say greetings. Actually, this is a pretty neat color scheme. It's only got a nice suit. Okay, cool. We'll head out and showcase some gear. Okay, so back in GM1 with the Interceptor, and today we are going over the last of the strike system. So we've done pretty much everything here. We've gone over all of it. All we have left is Viper's Bite. So Viper's Bite's an upgraded venom spray. Sprays a cone of acid, and then hitting an enemy adds 7 ult charges, which is pretty neat. So basically, if you're familiar with the Ranger, they have a sort of similar gear piece to this when they're grenades, the last argument, which when you hit an enemy with the grenade, it creates, it gives you an additional 7 ult charges, which is approximately 5%, I think is what I've been seeing on like the forums and Anthem Enclave. I think they also saw or getting that similar number. So it's a decent amount. And then for this one, it is a primer where, like with the last argument, which I really shouldn't be drawing conclusions, but it is, I am. It's actually down here. So this one, Viper Strike, is a primer, which is actually gives it a lot more utilitarianism, in my opinion, over being a detonator. But anyways, so the damage is it's acid effect, so it will give them acid damage, so it will weaken enemies. It'll give them a multiplier that weakens them, and then it does 10,000 damage almost exactly, which is pretty good damage actually. The downside of that is its recharge is 11, which is pretty punishing. I don't think it's the highest. I think there's one more that's higher. Yep, yeah, so Kara's Talon is a little bit higher. I think everything else is like around 7 or below. Yeah. Anyways, so kind of a punishing recharge. And then it has an acid effect of 15. So what I've kind of noticed and kind of drawn a conclusion from on my own testing is that anything below 20 does not necessarily guarantee that you will prime an enemy. So, and I've kind of seen that with my testing on this one, but I'll go ahead and showcase it. And just in case you're curious, I'm running ones that have charge on them, so there should be no extra damage. And this is my test interceptor, so I shouldn't be seeing a lot more damage either, because it's almost all gear recharge or armor on my rolls. So hopefully you're seeing better damage numbers than I am. Okay, so yep, 13,000 damage and instantly killed him. We're probably not going to be able to prime him in here. What does it do against shields? It's so because it does a decent amount of damage, it gets them, but I am running out of charges, so I'm gonna have to figure something else out here. We'll go ahead and take their shield down real quickly though, and then we'll showcase the damage against them in general. Okay, shields down, and we should be able to prime them. And see, they're not primed. I even tried to detonate a combo, and they still didn't combo. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. I know it says it does like a cone, but it seems like a wall in front of you. But that's what I'm seeing. In your testing or kind of your experience, you might have seen differently. I'm gonna wait to get a charge back. Okay. I think against like less resistant enemies, it might be doing it automatically. We'll check it out in GM3 and see how much better it does there. Let's see if we can find some armored enemies real quick, or sorry, shielded enemies, and then we'll start looking for some armored enemies. Okay, so this should be a shielded enemy. Takes out a majority of their shield. And I don't think they're primed. Let me get my charge back. I'll go ahead and take down this. Oh, well, sorry. All right. Okay. Well, I got this. I can do this. Just have to be careful. Okay, so. And pretty much just kills them immediately without a shield. Okay, so we got a big group here. Let's see how many of them we can get. All right, so you wouldn't have been able to see from... Okay, let's go over something real quick. So I already have my ult at full charge, unfortunately, because I'm doing combos left and right. But as you notice, I hit like 3 of them all at once, and it killed all 3 of them too, which was pretty neat. But I would have gotten pretty much per enemy. I would have gotten that would have counted. So let's try it real quick here. I'll get rid of this. Okay, so they're all kind of grouped up, and you see like I've got like almost a quarter of my alt bar back. So if you, and that's weird where it talks about a cone, because like I was right there and I missed them. So it's kind of, you kind of got to put yourself in vulnerable positions to get it off, or to to actually hit them. I'm gonna go ahead and take out these storms, clear out the rest of these dudes, and then we'll find some armored enemies. Okay, so you are armored. All right, so 20,000 damage against them. Nice. Okay. So yeah, pretty much instantly kills them. It's probably due to it being acid too. But yeah, so I guess it's more like a, you can't really see it in the pattern because there's no trajectory on it, but I think the pattern for it is more of like, I guess the description, to me a cone would seem like it's small coming out and then gets larger as it's going out in kind of like a circular shape. It seems more like a tunnel kind of. I don't know the best way to describe it, but and you're gonna have to mess around with it to kind of get an understanding of how the trajectory of it works, even though you don't have like a trajectory overlay available. So I recommend playing around with it. It's just kind of see what you can get. Okay, we'll test it on the javelin. So about a third. It takes about 2 to get them down to about half health for their shield. And let's see one more. Oh, and I kind of missed them, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take down their shield. All right, so let's get some charges back. So what is that? About half? That's pretty good. But I think it's because it's acid. I think I'm seeing that number because of acid. And unfortunately, they got their shield back. Let's see if I... Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I've got 2 charges, and this is a recharge build, or gear recharge build. And it's taken me a while to get my charges back. And when they get their shield back, it doesn't do hardly any damage. I'm just going to finish them off. Yeah, so... We'll go into GM3 and showcase it a little bit better because the enemies will be a lot more tankier, and I'll be able to showcase the priming a lot better. So that way, essentially what's going to happen though is the way you probably should be using this is you're going to initially hit a group of enemies with it. So you're going to get a ton of ult charges, and then they're all going to get primed, and then you're going to detonate all the combos, which will give you even more ult charges. So really, the synergy here is for if you're trying to get your ult back really, really quickly. And it does acid damage, so it will weaken enemies. But we'll go into GM3 and check it out there. Okay, so GM3, and then just to give you guys a heads up, I had Wave the Interceptor on originally. I replaced it with Conductive Lattice, mostly because Conductive Lattice is more based towards electric, where Wave the Interceptor, where is it? It's here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Way of Integration will give me more acid damage and more acid resistance, and then increases all my gear damage on a 2-hit. So that's why I was getting a little bit better numbers in GM1. So I switched it out for GM3. So you will probably be seeing almost exactly 10,000 damage from this. But we'll go in and showcase it a bit. Okay, so barely does anything to their shield. Let's go ahead and take their shield down. Okay, so does about, yeah, what we're saying, about 10,000. And it is not priming them. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'm not getting any priming combos off them, so it's not a UI bug. Like, they are just not being primed. And they're not acid, so they should be getting primed. So we'll go ahead and take them down. Okay. Let's get some shield back, get the spider effect off, and then I'll showcase how to prime. All right, so right here they both got primed, and I got a bunch of charges back, and then because I'm detonating them, I'll get even more charges. Kind of like we were talking in GM1, just kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So primed, I got some charges, and because it's acid, it's giving me that multiplier of being able to detonate them, or adding a multiplier for damage while I detonate them. And now I've got acid effect on me. So that's the other side, so I can just stand up here and just burn all of them. The only thing is if you burn them like that, now they're under acid effect, so you're not going to be able to prime them. So that's something to consider in case you didn't know that. But as far as just killing them in general, all right. So now they are no longer under acid effect, so they are primed. But we'll just go ahead and take them out. So, okay. Oh. Let's see if we can get this group. And so it does about a third of damage against a normal enemy type. Let's get a charge back. Yeah, it's a little bit less than a third against normal red bar enemy type. So, in general, it's not doing a lot of damage, even though 10,000 seems like it's a lot. In GM3, it's really not. Like, it's almost doing less than a quarter damage against them, so I would not recommend using this as your primary source of DPS. Especially with that super punishing recharge. I mean, like I said, I've got a recharge build on, and it's kind of rough. However, the cone, from what I'm seeing, and I'm sure someone's going to correct me about this, the cone is just weird, the way it puts out, and they didn't even get technically primed, so it's odd. I don't know if it's got more to do with the fact that the priming is 15. There we go, finally did it, and that might be it. I just wish it had kind of like a trajectory, kind of showcase where exactly it's at. But yeah, that's almost doing the same. It's not even like a quarter of their shield. So damage-wise, I'm not going to recommend this to be used for that, because you're just not, even on normal elite enemy types, I'm not seeing a lot of damage. I'm going to go ahead and take out this storm because we kind of already. Okay, so we got some armored enemy types here. So yeah, it's actually doing a little bit better against them, but because they're a little bit tankier, it doesn't seem like it. But the numbers are almost doubled from what they were. Combo damage is not bad. Like I said, because they're tankier, you're not really seeing the full effects. So it's definitely going to take a little bit more than usual to take them down. Even with that acid effect. Actually, I'll get their shield down because we kind of, well, I mean, yeah, 5,000 against their shield. That's kind of what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to see, based off what we were seeing with the storm, I wasn't expecting to see anything very good with that. Okay, so took their shield down. So 17,000 damage. Seems to be doing because it's acid more against their armor. But I don't think they're primed. Yeah, they're not primed. Let's see their ult. Yeah, so it's like it's not priming them, unfortunately. And I gotta keep ticking that way at them over the shield back. All right, so I'm gonna hit him with 2 in a row. All right, so I hit him with 2. Uh-oh. No combo. So this is kind of. I'm just gonna go ahead and take him down. Not an alt build, by the way, so that's why I wasn't doing great damage. Okay, so let's kind of go over this. So we can draw a lot of conclusions from here. GM1, I think we kind of went over like how to like usually for combos and how to get your ult back really fast that way. Here's where I'm going to talk about in GM3 was a good example going up against the Rangers, where it could be really good against like stronghold bosses like the Monitor. Assuming they're not resistant to it, the effect. So because it does that cone, you kind of got to be pretty close, and you can kind of see like this weird like hazy outline, and then inside that weird hazy outline there's like a shadow effect. I think that's what the cone is, not the actual haziness. I might be wrong there. It's just from basic testing that I've done that it's hard to draw a conclusion of what exactly the cone looks like or how far out it reaches and all that stuff. But basically, back to the Monitor, like when you're going against the Monitor in the end, and let's say you've got like a lot of synergy in an alt build, right? Or you've got an alt build. Like your build is alt damage. That's where it's all at. Where this becomes very handy is you don't have to detonate a combo with Viper's Bite. You don't have to actually prime them with Viper's Bite. All you have to do is just hit them. So if you just dash in real quick, hit them, dash back out, wait for it to recharge, or if you got another charge, dash back in, hit them, and then dash back out to prevent you. More than likely, you don't have a lot of armor, and you're not very stout if you got an alt build. That's not 100%. Everybody has different roles, so it's possible you have both. But typically, an alt build is going to be kind of squishy. That way, but as far as like using this, you're gonna get alt charges regardless. So that's where it can be beneficial all the way through an entire stronghold. Is that from the beginning to the end, you're still using it. It's not like it's completely unusable. So you know, that's kind of where I'm standing with it. I put it on some of my builds from time to time. I like to play around with it. It's good as a primer for certain enemy types. I think because it's got such a low prime of 15, I think that's where I'm seeing a lot of issues. On my end, that's where I'm seeing a lot of issues. And then if you get better like damage stats, it'll be a lot better too. Like I was at the bare minimum. Like I have no extra damage here at all, and I took the acid damage off the other one, so I ended up dropping about 3 to 4 damage from the component that I removed. So hopefully you're getting a lot better numbers than I am. I just like having more charges because it has such a punishing recharge. I would recommend to get one that has more charges, but it's going to be based on what your build is, what you're really looking for. It's really... So let's check some boxes before I get onto a rant. Is it efficient? Well, so it primes, it has a recharge, it takes a minute, and then you can detonate that. So the recharge for me is kind of like a downside to the efficiency. It doesn't seem very efficient to me. The only thing that it really does well consistently is give you alt charges. If it was more consistent, I would say yes, it's efficient, but I feel like no, it's not. That doesn't mean that you can't use it in a build. That doesn't mean it's not going to be efficient in a very specific type of build. I feel like if you had like a lot of alt builds that I see are the ones where like everything's acid. So in their build, they'll have they'll also put on Serpent's Veil. They'll have Viper's Bite, and then they'll have on here it is, Deathstalker Blades. So everything's acid based, which means they're putting out a lot of damage because everything is acid, and they're not really worried about detonating combos because one, they're doing a ton of acid damage, which there's a multiplier associated with that against enemy types, and then because they're using Viper's Bite, they are essentially getting 7 charges per hit. So that's the one I've used, and it's really powerful. It's like a really powerful acid melee interceptor. I'm sure there's better ones out there, but that's where I've seen it used a lot, and that seems to be a very efficient build that I see a lot of people running around with. Plus, they have Wave the Integrator, I think is what it was. It was the one I had on the last build that I kind of removed. That gives you 20% more damage, and then the other Serpent's Veil gives you 200% more acid damage. So it's just, you're just stacking acid damage. So you're doing a lot of damage, and you're kind of sacrificing in that build combos, which it doesn't mean you can't do combos. You can have other things that'll let you do combos for like damage, overall damage, DPS, and yeah. Anyways, so basically what I'm saying is it could be efficient in certain builds, but it's niche builds. So that's why I'm going to say if you can't use it for all types of builds, it doesn't, to me, seem very efficient. That's my perspective. Your opinion might vary, and that's fine. And then is it viable? Well, it's a primer. If you can figure out how to get it to work, you can prime pretty well. Like I said, you're gonna have to play around with it to really understand the way the supposed cone works and the distance, and basically, you know, like does it work better in air? Does it work better on the ground? Does it work better facing up? You know, you're gonna have to play around with that to get a better understanding yourself. That's one of those things I could probably tell you, but it seems hard for me to articulate to somebody who would need to do it hands-on. So that's my recommendation. And then is it fun? So when you get into a group and you're able to prime all of them and then just detonate the whole group or whatever, yep, I tried to use Randall's charge there without an enemy type. But you detonate that whole group, you're getting your charges back, or sorry, you're getting your alt charge built up, you're detonating combos. I think it's fun. So that's my play style. You might think differently, and that's okay. You might have a difference of opinion, and I would like to hear your difference of opinion. I'm okay for some input and finding out if there's a better way I could use this. So maybe I can make a part 2 of this and go over your ways of using this. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it a thumbs up, but I mean that's my opinion, and it's kind of more based off the fun factor than the efficiency factor, because I think there's more gear in this game that's much more or much less efficient than this. And it still has a lot of upsides to it, like the fact that it's doing acid damage, which gives multiple. So I could go on forever about this, but I'm going to end the video here and stop the rant. Undefeated Rescue, and hope to see you guys out in Bastion.